Let's go to Bailey. Seahawks getting rid of Wilson or Carroll. So if I had to guess who's more likely, I'll say Russell Wilson. I would be pretty shocked if they let go of Pete Carroll, but I'll say yes to Russell Wilson. I'm not going to say 100%. I really think that there's a very high chance. Pete Carroll, though, I believe he's actually the oldest head coach right now in football, even though he doesn't act like it. But if you're going to move on from Wilson, maybe decide to move on from Pete Carroll as well.
From Russell Cox, should the Seahawks break the bank to play Quandre Diggs? Probably. Diggs has been awesome this year. Now, his age is a factor, but 5 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, he going to get paid. Diggs is going to get a big-time offer in free agency from somebody. So if you're Seattle, he's awesome this year. With Adams hurt, he's been by far your best safety out there. You kind of can't let him leave if you're trying to win games next year. Here's the super chat from Sports Fan. If the Seahawks fire Pete Carroll, who should his replacement be? And what should the strategy be to rebuild the team into a contender? If you're keeping Russell Wilson, you probably haven't allowed him to have insight into who you hire. You get a coach who can maximize offensive ability. If Wilson's gone, you blow it up. You hire a coach who will need some time on the job. You go with a young offensive mind probably, or a young guy, and try to build out a team that will need time to rebuild and reset. So if Russ is there, you try and just build the O-line, try to rebuild a draft capital long term, let Jamal Adams rush the passer, you morons, and build around Russ. If he's gone too, it's a full-fledged reset, and maybe you go fire sale as well. Who is your top head coach candidate? Who is it? Is it Matt Eberflus? He's been a hot name right now. Is it Eric Bieniemy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, Byron Leftwich, Brian Dable? Who is it? Let me know what you guys have to say in the comments. Your top NFL head coach option. From Jim Panton 84, do you think Russell Wilson is done in Seattle and will leave via free agency after the year? Not free agency. He is not a free agent. Seattle will not cut him. That'd be stupid. Wilson, in the end, is going to have to be traded. And I think there's a very good chance that Wilson ends up getting dealt somewhere. Like, I think that's the likely outcome in the end, that Wilson, whether it's this year or maybe even the year after that, is somewhere else. I don't think he finishes his career in Seattle, which I know is pretty disappointing, but I think there's a very good chance he gets dealt this offseason.
Will the Seahawks end up trading Russell Wilson this offseason? Why for yes, or you can go ahead and type your N for no. Me personally, I am going to type my Y for yes. Not that I think Wilson looks like he's totally checked out, but this guy wants to play for a long time on a winning team. Seattle's trending in the wrong direction, and for a team that needs a lot of draft capital, why not move on from a quarterback who's 33, going to be 34 years old, get some extra draft capital, and try to get that rebuild going?
All right, from Mitty, I think the Seahawks should trade/cut Chris Carson and Kerry Hyder. Both haven't been what we expected them to be. Yeah, I think that's a fair situation. Hyder has not been great. I think Carson is a strong cut candidate as well. From Otis Walsh, Russell Wilson to the Giants. Ooh, good question here. Okay. I think there is a very good chance that Russell Wilson is somewhere else in 2022. I don't think he ends up being a Seahawk for that much longer. It just kind of feels like that relationship has begun to run its course a little bit. Now, I think the Giants, along with several other teams, make sense, because if you're trying to reset and get a good quarterback in there, Wilson's an upgrade. Now, are the Giants going to be stubborn and commit to Daniel Jones? I wouldn't go that route. I would go get Russell Wilson. I think, frankly, the Washington football team and the Giants, strong contenders to go after Russell Wilson. So where will Wilson play next year? Seattle could still be an option, but maybe they look in a different direction. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if that ad break plays here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down to the pinned comment and make your predictions where Russell Wilson will play next season. Now, we'll have NFL videos for you guys all off season long. News, rumors, trades, draft, coaching stuff, free agency, all of it. So, if you haven't already, join us. Hit that big red button and subscribe for free videos every single day. In fact, multiple times a day here on Chat Sports. Eric Simmons, will Pete Carroll coach again after this year? I don't know. This year, from what the consistent success for Pete Carroll in Seattle to what they've done now, it is a pretty stark difference. Because of that, I don't know if that's going to end up being the case. So I think the Pete Carroll situation is one worth monitoring. We'll see if he ends up coaching another season. Again, if you missed it earlier, the Fanatics jersey deal is available. chatsports.com/jersey deal. Under $90, a ton of NFL jerseys. Official Nike ones, by the way, from all kinds of different teams. All the NFL teams have a jersey for you guys. So whatever team you cheer for, they got you guys covered. We had the Tua question. Boom, there's one right there. Justin Fields. Some rookie jerseys are included for under 90 at chatsports.com/jersey deal. I'll put that link, by the way, in the comment section and in the description.
All right, what is the biggest game of the week? There's a lot of NFL games. There's no Thursday Night Football this week. Personally, for me, when I look at some of these games on the slate, I'm going to say Raiders-Colts because I'm just a Raiders guy. But that Chiefs and Bengals game, that one really, really is interesting to me. I know the Rams have a pretty tough game as well. The Titans and Dolphins game has a lot riding on it. So please, let me know down in the comment section, what is the biggest game of the week? What up, Bailey? Most disappointing team this year overall. From top to bottom, I mean, I guess I'm going to go Seattle. I get that Russell Wilson has been battling some injuries, but I mean, think about it. I mean, it's been a really, really big disaster. I might also go ahead and say Jacksonville because I know a lot of people, when they paid Urban Meyer the amount of money they did, they're like, oh, you got Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be a total change. That quite didn't happen. So I am, though, going to say Seattle. I think most people, for Seahawks fans, also the Browns, had some high hopes on the Browns as well. Let's go to Bailey. Biggest takeaway from this year from a fantasy football perspective. Now, my biggest takeaway is if you're in a fantasy league that does 2-week championships, you're dumb. Get out of those leagues ASAP Rocky. Sorry, Chugs. I also love 2 quarterback leagues. If you're not in a 2 quarterback league, get in one as soon as possible because the quarterback position, when you do 2 of them, it makes it so much more competitive. And then my last takeaway is if you can get one of those top running backs that you know is going to get a lot of touches, sure, you can risk some injury. I'm going to go ahead and take those guys because there's so many amazing, talented wide receivers that pop up every year, like a Deebo Samuel. Yeah, I have him on basically all my leagues. Those are my takeaways for fantasy football. Now, if you want to talk more fantasy with me, I literally got my start in this industry doing fantasy. I used to write for Fantasy Pros. I used to actually do their start-sit. I did stuff for the fantasy footballers. I did stuff for Gridiron Experts. I did a lot of fantasy stuff, actually. And then I realized, well, not a lot of money in fantasy football. So I came over to Chat Sports. Now we do a lot of other NFL content, but I love it. I really, truly do. It's probably one of my favorite things to be able to talk about outside of just normal sports content. Now, I'm definitely more of a sports bettor now because that pays my bills, and I love betting on sports. But yeah, if you guys ever want to have any fantasy questions, please don't be afraid to ask me. Now, the new year is almost here. It's crazy to think that 2022 is here. Hopefully it's better than 2020, right? Yeah, it better be. Give me one of your New Year's resolutions. Usually ones that are like, I want to lose some weight, or I'm going to try to ride a bicycle, or I don't know, I don't want to drink for the entire month of January. Give me a New Year's resolution that you have. Throw it down in the comments section. Who knows? You might see it on a future show.
So who wins the Super Bowl? I think the parity this year means that any team that makes it outside of probably the 7 seeds have a real chance at making a run this year. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section.